We're going to talk to the guy who wrote the article on it in the Athletic. That is Jon Greenberg. Jon, welcome to the show, buddy. How's it going?
Jon?
What's up, guys?
What's up?
I was telling my son, we had to run out real quick. I'm like, I got to get back. I'm doing a podcast. He's like, which one? And I'm like, well, it's a bunch of White Sox guys. He goes, are those the guys that did that thing about the apology video for you?
We're trying to grab you out of this.
Yes. Because he had to write something about his parents, so he Googled me.
Oh boy.
Which he had never really done before, so that kind of came up.
And that popped up. Oh, good. Our SEO was good on that. Nice job, MSS.
Thanks, guys. You guys are incredible.
My dad was nearly killed at a White Sox game by a man taking edibles. No, I was on edibles that night, sir. Take it easy. You're supposed to calm you down, but it did not calm me down. It was only hand-to-hand combat, though. MSS didn't sneak a gun in under his fat. That's not
allegedly.
No.
Someone else.
Well, you can do
that. Absolutely.
It's been proven. Jon, we wanted to get you in here because, I mean, there's not a lot of very interesting stuff to talk about with the White Sox. And so it's when something like this comes up, and you wrote a really great article on it, we want to know just more about the Justin Ishbia situation. And to start it off, like, really understand, what do we know for certain in this situation? What do we know for certain about his intent of buying the White Sox?
Yeah, so what we know for certain is that he put an offer out to the shareholders, to the minority partners, right? The very, very limited, very silent, not a lot speaking with Jerry in the elevator kind of partners. That's not totally true. They're allowed to speak to him. He just doesn't have to answer them.
Jesus.
He put from what I heard, and I got this confirmed through a league source, that the valuation was at $1.8 billion. Now, 4 years ago, Michael and Jonathan Reinsdorf offered to buy out these limited partners in 2021. And I believe the valuation, I never got an exact number, but I believe it was around $900 million. So The only people that sold then were the ones who just were probably already rich and were just wanted to get out of this. And some people were doing estate planning. Some people were really old. The other people.
And Jon, from what I read about the 2021 sale, is that the Ishbia brothers were involved in that with the Reinsdorf kids through a special purpose vehicle, kind of a sidecar LLC that they were buying from. Is that correct?
Right. Which, and at the time, I didn't know, that was in Cranes and stuff. We knew they did it, but we didn't know where the funding came from. And I know of at least one other billionaire who put money into that to give them money to do it. But we didn't know Ishbia was part of it until January. That came out of a Sportico story where you saw the thing about the special purpose vehicle. And I actually kind of forgot about that. I actually was reporting this, and then someone told me, and I had to be like, "Oh yeah, that Sportico article. Let me
go find that.
Let me learn about that." Right. So, I mean, the people that when they were told that someone wanted to buy their shares, they didn't even know who it was. They weren't told it was Justin Ishbia. The person who told me didn't know at all. I made a call to someone else who knows some partners. He told me he thinks it was Ishbia. Then I made a call to some people in the league, and they told me it was. And that's around the time when I got Dan Hayes roped in, because he used to cover the Sox. Now he covers the Twins. And he was the one that broke the initial story, I believe, about Ishbia being interested. So he had some info already, had some contacts. And that's when we really got it confirmed, when the Twins are like, oh yeah, he's not buying, it's not happening. He's moved on. We found out most people at the Twins didn't even know about it. Only really high level people did. And it had basically been going on. Now, I had heard in the last month, I talked to someone today who said they heard even longer, whatever. Deals like this go. Okay. Supposedly Reinsdorf approached him during this Twins pursuit and talked about him buying, maybe more shares of, and it might have been Michael that approached him, Michael or Jerry, about buying more shares. Now, the part where it gets a little confusing is everyone I talked to, including people with, some knowledge of the deal, told me it would include either some kind of guarantee or some kind of pathway or right of first refusal to buy the team outright, to buy Jerry's shares, whatever it takes. And then the White Sox, in their statement to me, denied that, which was kind of I wish it's kind of like I went to them at the end. You kind of go to people like that at the end, and then you kind of like, then it's like a little bit of a curveball. So you have to figure out how to right around that. But yeah,
Right.
I know people that have already, and I think pretty much the deadline is tomorrow, is Friday, but I
Right.
think
And now who's the deadline on, John? Is it on the Ishbias or is it on the partners to say, okay, yes, we will sell these kind of thing? Okay.
yes, I'm sure there's some kind of deadline for him to sign things as well. But yeah, it's on them to say that whether or not they're selling, because they don't have to.
Right.
And originally, in the original version of the story, because a limited partner told me that or someone close to them told me that thought their shares would be diluted with him buying in. And then the one thing the White Sox did ask me to fix was that they said that wasn't true. So someone must have just maybe they assumed it or they just read it. So that, nothing was going to get diluted. I assume they asked me to correct that because limited partners were calling Jerry like, what?
I don't want my 5% to be 3%. And just to clarify for the audience here, what that kind of means is that the buying here isn't just a blob of money that's going in there and going with the rest of the money. The money going in there is buying someone else out. They're getting redeemed. They're going out. So this one's coming in, that one's going out, net of nothing. So everyone else who's not involved in the sale, their percentage of whatever they own, the partnership stays exactly the same. If the money had gone in, that means more total money, and then you could get your percentage being lower. That's not the case, according to what you're hearing.
Right. So, and I do think there is a question whether he's putting more money into the franchise, though, or whether he's going to, whether it's for a stadium, whether it's like a separate kind of entity he's doing. I don't know if he's going to be a member of the board. That would be kind of interesting. It's these, as I wrote, like if you look at the guys on the board, Jay Pinsky is the young one, 76, and he's the only one under the age of 85.
Spring chicken.
I know. I said they don't let him talk. He's too young.
He's sitting at the kids' table. He doesn't get to be.
I don't know how active the board is with Jerry. I don't think Jerry ran the Tony La Russa decision by the board. You know what I mean?
Potentially,
John. I do like how you wrote it though in here, because as someone who looks like me, I get called old a lot, and the way that you nicely put, a number of these limited partners have been with Reinsdorf since the very beginning, back when he and his partner, the late Eddie Einhorn, were wide-eyed newcomers to the game. That's 1981, right? Like, so that's 44 years. If we're writing a blog about this, we write that as bunch of old fucks. I love how you lightly put it there. But like what I think about though with that situation is like thinking about Ishbia coming in and buying these shares. Is it someone who's making a move towards purchasing the team, or is it someone who's getting some value out of people that probably want to get rid of their shares at this point?
It's got to be. Listen, and I wrote a follow-up column to this where I kind of, you couldn't put a lot of your thoughts into this. This was a straight news story. I told them I was, that's how I was writing it. And my thoughts are, is what anyone's thoughts are. Why would a guy who could buy the Twins pass up that opportunity to give more money to Jerry Reinsdorf to be a silent partner? That doesn't make a ton of sense. You would assume that it's with the idea of buying the team outright, because he said he wants to buy a team outright. This isn't like he's just a billionaire who had no interest, and he could just be parking some money in here. He wants, and listen, I'll be honest, people I talk to that know this deal were talking to me with the kind of insinuation that this is happening. It wasn't even an insinuation. It was like, okay, when he does this, when he takes over. Now, I don't know if that's, right of first refusal. I don't know if it's, I don't think it would be a handshake kind of deal for this kind of money, but the kind of,
Jerry
or is it just
a handshake deal though?
Right.
He's like,
right.
we don't need lawyers.
Right, we don't need lawyers. Or if it's just like,
I'll give it to you. Just relax.
Like he's buying so many shares, then no one, whoever would buy the team, it would. Who else would it be? Like Jerry's 89. And you have to think, as much as he said, he's going to sell when he dies, et cetera, he is 89. And the fact this is basically estate planning. In some ways, if you think about it, for a control freak like Reinsdorf, this is a good example of his personality, because if he has them sell it after he passes, he has no control over who takes his baby. This way, it gives him a control, you know what I mean? And he gets to stick around for a few more years. Like the comp someone gave me in baseball would be like the David Blitzer situation in Cleveland. He bought in 25%, I think, in 2022 with an option. I think it was like a 6-year runway if he wanted to buy the team. Now that could be another thing. It might be a thing where he doesn't have to buy the team. It might be like a period where he if he wants to buy the team in 5 years, he can do it. So that could be another way of getting around kind of how the statement they gave.
I was going to say, and John, the way they stated it, they did leave it like that. I agree with your thought process there. They left it with the optionality that, no, it's not a foregone conclusion, but yeah, he probably has some time mechanism or some event mechanism that allows him. And probably part of the putting the money in is locking in a certain price certainty. Because a lot of times these deals, what they'll want to do is they'll want to lock at some number. This way, if the market goes up and down, they have the optionality of getting in or out of it.
And I did hear from someone, a league source, that there might be, it wasn't positive, but he thought there might be an escalator in there, like that it could go up to like $2 billion, or 2.2. And I heard the price is really like the real valuation's like $2 billion, but they have like $200 million in like debts.
Okay, to offsetting probably, the other. Okay,
right, like offsetting. So, I think that's probably an option. I've heard, people think he might dump money in now for maybe a stadium, to get like stadium stuff or.
Well, so John, I wanted to ask about that. Like him coming into this situation, what does that do for the overall stadium situation of all the back and forth they've had?
I mean, it improves it a ton because what's the real sticking point? It's that Jerry doesn't want to spend his own money, of course.
Yeah.
The team money. I don't even know how much they would have to do. He wants public money. That's a sticking point. And if the 78 really can have a baseball stadium, everyone has been saying the Fire are the favorite because Joe Mansueto is willing to put his own money in, and build a stadium on his own. And they obviously would rather have that. But if he's willing to pay a lot for a stadium, then, it gives everything. It's all about the money, or maybe if he fixes up what they have now and actually makes that like a ballpark village,
Right.
So when you have money, there's so many, and it opens up so many doors, right? You're willing to spend money on your own. Who's going to stop
out of here?
Well, John, you mentioned him having money, his substantial bankroll, but Shore Capital Partners, he works in PE. They don't list the LPs on the website, but you have to think that he has contacts in public and private pensions, sovereign wealth funds, family office. There's connection to a lot more money. People who would be willing to invest in certain parts of the thing and allow him to structure it in a way where he makes a fortune off of whatever's done there. And they need way less public money. Doesn't mean they won't shake the public tree for a little bit, but his capability is way larger even than his $5.4 billion valuation.
Right. I think he manages $11.4 billion or $11.5 billion is what Shore Capital Partners. And I didn't even know about that. I had originally wrote that, a lot of the wealth comes from the mortgage business. And, I got a correction from someone saying, no, it's, that's a big business, but he has, look up Shore Capital Partners a little better, $11.5 billion. And I talked to other people who are just like, oh yeah, they're enormous. And there's so much stuff going on in here. The bank the White Sox uses, or this investment bank they're using, Byron Trott and this other bank he merged with, look them up. It's they're so high end that we would never have heard of them. Someone gave me the name and I had to be like, oh yeah, I know them. Yeah, then again, who this guy is, they're using some big. That's another thing. If he's just buying shares from these jamokes, these 75-year-old guys, would they be really using this huge bank that specializes in very high end deals? No, right? I just think Jerry, when he got the call that one, he's like, who's Jon Greenberg? Who's this putz? Am I would you say, do you think he called me a putz or a schmuck? What do you think? I think I'm more of a
maybe
putz.
A schmo.
I hope because you're a jokey guy, so you got a good sense of humor.
Schmuck,
so he might piss you off. You might piss him off with it. So
schmuck's like an idiot who would
you're not that.
I'm sort of a general putz. But that's Jerry's big thing is when he doesn't want to talk to a reporter, he pretends he doesn't know who they are. I heard when Jeff Passan was there this year doing his story, Passan asked to talk to him, and Passan was told that Reinsdorf doesn't know who he is.
Okay.
Watches every game, John. Has no idea who Jeff is. Not one.
Now, John, we're talking about the stadium and the deep pockets here. One thing did catch my eye. Do we believe the White Sox are, if they were to be purchased by Justin Ishbia, that they would be safe in Chicago? Because when I was looking at the Shore Capital Partners website, their second office is in Nashville. He owns minority interest. Yeah, he has minority interest in the Nashville soccer team. And as Treasy mentions, he's a Vandy guy. That's where he went for law school, right? He went to law school in Vandy.
Law school, right? Yeah. I would say, like that's obviously connections there. I will say there's two things. $1 million house and buy a team in that city and then move it somewhere else. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Two, when we were writing this out, we were debating that with the editors, and one of the baseball editors sent me like a thing from a story that Major League Baseball doesn't want another team. One, doesn't want a team moving. Two, doesn't want a team moving into an expansion market. Like the A's moved to Vegas.
Kills the fee.
Right, kills the fee. Like
you a ton of money if they have a new team.
Teams make a ton of money on expansion.
Ton of money.
So they would absolutely not want that. And you don't want Chicago to Nashville. That's a terrible idea. Even though they're the second team, it's still this is a huge city that can, if the White Sox are actually run well, they would draw fans. And that's the thing that always 100%. Drives me crazy is everyone talks about those Sox like they're just like, no one wants to go there or this and that. Guess what? When they drew well, they draw fans. In 2021, in that second half, when there was full attendance, I tell the people listening, go look at Baseball Reference and look at the attendance for the weekend games. Every week, the weekend games were outdrawing the Cubs weekend games in 2021. And 2022
it was packed. It was ridiculous.
And they were good crowds.
Yeah.
I would say if let's say you put some money into keeping the stadium there and redoing it, I would rip up the upper deck. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you can structurally. I'm not an engineer, but rip up the upper deck and just change anything you could to change the configuration of that to make it a more palatable experience. Whether you make an overhang, like at Wrigley or something like that, because the lower bowl is
fine.
Usually, it's not full, but it's pretty packed. It's just the upper deck,
the upper tank. The upper tank. I mean, it used to even be worse.
Way worse.
Remember how steep it was?
It was basically like the upper decks in the Coneheads movie. But now, then they did a little bit to help it. But I hate going up there. I still feel like I'm not
feel disconnected. And the fact that they don't let people they still ban people on certain games from going downstairs.
Oh my God, this is insane.
Ridiculous.
John, I wonder. Oh no, go ahead. Go
ahead. It's nothing important.
I just wonder, the one thing about keeping the stadium there is okay, you got this guy's got a ton of money, and like you said, he's building this huge ass house in Winnetka. But also, we look at these guys like they're like us. But when you're worth $11 billion, you can fly back and forth from here to Nashville, and it's not really. It's like driving to fucking Ohio for us, right? You're like, whatever. Right. Okay, it's $300. But the big thing, I think, that for possibly a new stadium, not moving, I don't think they're going to move, but building a new stadium is having to deal with the fucking state every time you want to do something at stadium. Is that a legit concern, or am I just making that up in my big fat head? Because it feels like you have to go through.
Summer, are you asking? Are you asking that because right now the stadium they have is owned by the state? Yes. Are you saying they would want to own it as opposed to the state owning it? So even if they stay in the same spot, would they buy it away from the state?
I'm sure the state
would the state sell it?
I know, they'd probably sell for $1.
Okay. Right.
Just get off under it.
Wouldn't you? If you're the state, I'd be like, get me the fuck out of this thing, right?
Sure thing.
Well, here's the thing too, and I know someone in baseball said this to me, and this is kind of a pipe dream, but I was asked someone once, hey, would you would you lead a group to buy the White Sox ever? And he goes, yeah, if the Bears move, I would ask for a stadium where Soldier Field is. Now that's again a pipe dream with a lot of moving parts. That would be fascinating to have a baseball team right there. Yeah, you don't have the bars and stuff right there, but the environment would be as a tourist.
Where would we park, John? Where would we park? How would we get to someplace that people go to every other Sunday for 3 months? Well, how would we get there, John? There's no parking lots there, bro. I don't know how I do it.
What's crazy about that is if you think about in the winter going by the lake sounds horrible, but in the summer it sounds incredible. So awesome. Wouldn't you it's much better suited for a baseball stadium.
That would be really cool. Now that would take you have to be obviously all the politicians have to be on board, I mean, I don't know what happened, but it definitely sounds like the Bears are moving, to Arlington Heights.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's been the buzz rate. I mean, that was like common sense. Like they were never gonna I remember I was talking about this today. Like, remember when they were like, first he started saying he was interested, and you're like, okay, this is a possibility. Then they had the big presentation, and you're like, oh wait, this is definitely not happening. The presentation was so bad, so stupid. Remember the presentation of that when he was like, we're gonna save the youth of Chicago by giving them like a park. I was like, how are the youth of like the West Side and the South Side going to get there?
Gonna get down here, yeah, exactly.
Right, like, and where are they
People can't get there to go to the game who have tickets.
Right. These are like kids without cars, and then like, what are they going to do? Play like hopscotch in the park? Like what fantasy world is this guy living in? But remember all the bathrooms too? That was his big thing.
Yeah,
They're gonna have bathrooms everywhere. So it sounds like they're building out in Arlington Heights, but it's just an interesting idea, and I think if you have money, you can make some of that stuff happen. But we'll see. I don't, like I've said, I don't think they really need a new stadium. I mean, frankly, I just think they need to fix up the one they have and fix up the area.
Rehab it, yeah, and then start to develop where they can develop. Treasy, you want to hit a couple drinks because they are trying to say hi to John and some of the drinks. I want to make sure.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me
those
get
too.
I was trying to keep us as sober as possible to talk to John, but we'll throw that out the window. This one's from Trey. He says, "Cheers, guys. Going to listen on the road tomorrow." Cheers,
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate you.
Trey.
We got Aloha, Mr. Hand. He says, "Cheers to John."
Yeah, fuck us, huh?
Thank you, Mr. Hand.
Thanks. Cheers.
All right, and then we got Anthony says, "Drink for Ishbia owning the White Sox. You too, Greenberg."
I don't know the White Sox. I also don't like U2. Not a bad.
Really?
You know what? U2's weak. I've never been a big fan, but I did go see them live once just to say I saw them, and they were actually really good in concert.
Probably
Yeah,
really
I saw
good
them
live.
my wife always gets on me about that whenever she likes U2. She thinks
I don't think I've liked anything past the Act tune. Like that was
Yeah,
just
right.
like that was
That's the end, right?
after
Yeah.
that.
What was the
like,
Blue Sky? It's a
all
jam,
weird
all right?
shit, man.
But I mean,
weird shit after
the
that.
early albums are awesome. But is
Yeah,
U2 one of those bands that like is either like you're just totally out, or you're so in on it that it's insane?
Yeah, I think that's
Probably.
what it is. I'm just not like, it's kind of boring. But yeah, their originals, their new old stuff's obviously great. But like, I'm just, I don't know.
Teresa,
Never
they
did
play,
much for me.
they play U2 at all the White Sox partners meetings. That'll show you. That's their fan base. Oh man,
So, John,
they're good.
If we're looking at this as fans, and we're seeing this is in the news, podcasts are talking about it, shitty podcasts are talking about it. How excited should we be as a fan? What should we look at as like a reasonable timeline to something changing?
I mean, I think reasonable timeline, like again, someone suggested like Blitzer, like 4 or 5 years, 6 years. Jerry's 89. So, I mean, he might be like Sister Jean, who looks younger every year. So who knows? Because he still likes to obviously hang around, right? This is his life. The White Sox are his life. So, and he wants to see it get better. That was Jerry's thing, right? He kept saying he wants to make it better. And everyone's like, please stop trying to make it better. Like, the love of God. It's like Mr. Burns when he tried to make the world a better place. But so I assume he wants to stick around for a little longer. I do think fans should get excited when there's a change, right? And now it's the idea of change, a real tangible, actual idea. So, yeah, I mean, listen, it's just been too long. He's on the team too long. There's such little success. It's not like the Bulls where you can at least still talk about the 6 championships.
Right.
I mean, how many great seasons have you guys had as White Sox fans? Like 4 or 5?
4. Yeah, I was gonna say something like that. Yeah,
I could count them on one hand. Like that's
right. I mean, that's that's it. Like you just don't. There just hasn't been any real success. It's just been like literally a few seasons have been good, and the rest is all just about your community and the community of White Sox fans and just like the remaining community, which you thought it was going to be like this renaissance, and it was the quickest, most disappointing renaissance ever. I mean, that's just sad. It's just like I think about it, 'cause we rip so much on them right now, and everyone's so down on them. But it was just a few years ago, where the White Sox are like one of the hottest, young, exciting teams in baseball.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's crazy how quick that fell
I mean,
apart, and really
look at-
fell apart like just nosedove.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
if you
like
look at-
happened. Yeah.
if you look at a guy like Tim Anderson, right? Like, I mean, like a couple years ago, we were like, man, are they going to extend him? Is this going to be,
Right.
could this be like the first $100 million contract that the Sox make as an extension to Tim Anderson? And right now, this is only a couple years later, and he's fighting for a roster spot on a terrible team.
Yeah.
So, like, it's
Poor guy.
insane.
Well, look at the baseball, Chicago baseball in general. I mean, Cubs, none of these guys some of these guys are getting paid a lot, but they're all terrible. Baez, Bryant, these
Yep.
guys could all get, released with money owed. Rizzo's out of a job. Moncada.
Schwarber's the only one that's
job.
been still good,
Right. Schwarber's been still good. I mean, Giolito's, we don't know what he's going to be up to. I mean, it's crazy how quickly things can change,
Mhm.
in baseball. And Tim was like always kind of like, yeah, he was good. And he had those three good years in a row. But, because he didn't walk, that was always going to be like, you knew there was going to be some variance in his performance. And a lot of people in baseball weren't really sold on him. The guy of all those guys I'm shocked about is Chris Bryant. And yeah, I know people say he didn't love baseball and all that, but shit, I mean, go to Colorado, you think he'd hit something. I mean, the guy went like a year without hitting a home run in Colorado.
And he's been hurt too. Like he can't even stay healthy.
like,
the guy,
just-
I thought
the other
Eloy
day.
would have been. I thought Eloy would have been better. I thought Eloy would have at least been like, at least had some slug. I mean, when Theo compared him somewhat derisive, with a little bit of derision to Carlos Lee. I mean, he's nothing. Carlos Lee's like Babe Ruth compared to him.
much better. Yeah, I was just saying, much better
Like,
player
geez,
than him.
Multiple-time All-Star. So, like,
You know what will happen with Eloy? I think because now he has to fight for a position. He's going to fight for a job. Like he either is going to get it together or he's not. Like this is the time. Like he lost all that weight. He's coming into camp, and everyone in White Sox Twitter is like, he's going to be great. And I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's definitely a motivator to have two teams tell you to
where
fuck
is he?
off.
Is he Baltimore?
Same year.
Tampa.
Where is he?
Tampa.
Yeah.
He's just
He's in Tampa. He signed with Tampa. It's a minor league deal. It's not a major league deal.
Yeah.
And it's a long putt for some of these guys. Like for real. So
Until I mentioned
John-
his name, I forgot where he was. I hadn't thought about it.
John, you mentioned White Sox fans should be excited. Let's play devil's advocate just for a second because I think everyone in White Sox fandom is really excited about this. But one of the signs that the Ishbia brothers and Justin in particular are going to be the type of owner that we all want, like the rich billionaire guy who treats it like fantasy baseball, and not just another private equity guy who's using it as a repository for an investment,
Right.
putting capital somewhere so they can grow money. What are the signs that saying they're not going to be that guy? They're going to be the Steve Cohen type, even though no one's really Steve Cohen.
I mean, I think, just what his brother's doing in Phoenix. I mean, has he been great? No. But he has spent money, and he's attracted guys, and he's attracted people there. So I would say what's going on in Phoenix is, like, a pretty good sign. I mean, like I said, it hasn't been great. But it has been a pretty good sign. Now, we know he loves baseball. We had a story on him when he gave, like, $10 million to Michigan State. And he just talked about his love of baseball. So I can't imagine he's going to be just like a total private equity douchebag on this one. That, I have to imagine he wants to come in and be like, and make a splash in Chicago and show, like, I mean, the amount of goodwill he's going to come in with is incredible. And if he had, the sticking point's always been money, right? Because Jerry never had money. Jerry came in as 6% owner of the team and gradually built it up, and they took over a pretty distressed asset. I mean, yes, they had some good players and La Russa, and they had a really good front office when he bought the team.
Yep.
But, like, they weren't making money. It was a different era. But, now we also – I mean, the White Sox are in pretty much the bottom, though. He's going to have to do a lot of work, or Jerry's going to have to do a lot of work to get there. And someone's going to have to do a lot of work on this team because TV deals, whatever, we don't know when they're going to get the Comcast thing figured out. Probably soon on a premium tier. But that's not going to make a ton of money at first. They've got no attendance. I mean, that was one of their worst. This was their worst year since '99.
It's just us three.
Last year.
I was going to say it's hard for us to give away our tickets. Even Teresi and I got extras, and it's hard to give them away when our wives don't come.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. They have no attendance. I mean, everything's just bad right now with the team. I mean, they're going to win. What are they going to lose this year? 110 games.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, they're bad.
Not 100,
right?
not 113 though. It's just 100.
We need that over 49 and a half.
Over
We
49.
can't mess around with that.
Oh, did you guys get 49 and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a good number. We got the
When it
opener,
came out.
baby.
Right when it came out.
Yeah, I should have done that when it came out. That's a good number. But now Benintendi's hurt.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that hurts that number.
It might, but we don't know. Yeah.
How about
He'll be back in the second half. That's when he usually hits home runs in the second half. He's fine.
Martin Perez today said they're contenders. He doesn't care what anything.
We saw that. We're like, oh my goodness.
I mean, they have. If you
Tough
look
start.
at that lineup, jeez. Now they do have some. Listen. There's some exciting things with Smith and Schultz. You know, Sean Burke looks like he's throwing it hard. I mean, there's some stuff there.
Davis
but,
Martin looks pretty
there's
good
some
too.
stuff
Like,
with
yeah,
the roster.
the pitching is all
right.
right.
Exactly. There is some talent potential, but man, that lineup. Whew, how are they going to score runs?
I mean, a lot of wild pitches. They need a lot of wild pitches.
I mean, who is going to hit in this lineup? I just don't understand. I mean, I guess with Robert's, they're just. I would walk Robert every time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I just pitch around him. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
You don't even
Yeah,
need to do that.
Is Talkman going
He'll
to
strike
carry?
out.
Hit a home run the other day. We'll see.
Talkman might, out of the gates, be their best option to get on base. And I don't know if it's even close. Unless Mydroth makes the team.
Really hoping that Coulson's not hurt though. After not starting today, not
He's
playing
hurt.
today.
How does he
He's
have
hurt.
back? How does he have a sore back? He's like 22 years old. I have a sore back.
Maybe he's been hanging out with the
question.
females in Phoenix. He's like getting all his, his action in before they comes to the bigs. You know,
Jesus.
he's hanging out at Four Points Brewery or whatever the fuck, Four Peaks. I
John,
don't remember all the places anymore.
John, before we let you go, I think we're going to throw a couple of conspiracy theories at you that we have about the whole ownership thing and see how you react. I'll go first. Because I'm going to go with a Jerry's cheap. It's not that much of a conspiracy theory, but
Yeah. Whoa.
Ishbia had to get rid of his shares if he was going to buy the Twins. So do you think it's possible that Jerry rounded up all of his guys and said, "We're going to lowball the hell out of this guy. He's got to sell these back to us at like a $300 million valuation, so that either we get all this stuff that we want for cheap, or he's stuck and he can't buy the Twins."
I like that one. I think that's a good one. Yeah. He doesn't want to buy a division contender. He's keeping them in. He's locking them up. I kind of like that. I mean, I don't think as conspiracy theories go, I think that's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't quite believe it myself, but I like I like the way it sounds. I think if I tweeted it, people would there's a group of people that would believe it. Beef, do you want to throw one out?
100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my conspiracy theory is kind of the Hyman Roth and Godfather 2. Do you think Jerry's intention the entire time is to lasso in some of this money, change out some of his limited partners that have been there a long time that really want to get out, but really, he thinks he's going to live forever. He's going to push off the sale, and even if they get to deadlines when the sale could take place, push the thing into court and try to hang on to this team forever.
No, I like that one too. Yeah, that's another thing, just like him. Like, does think he's going to live forever, and it's just like, you're right, going to be totally like, there's going to be some kind of like vague language, a deal where yeah, I can see that for sure. A nice.
All right,
to end his life with.
I don't really have a conspiracy theory, but how hard is the wind going to be blowing when he takes over the ownership of the White Sox and the entire front office gets totally canned? Like, they're going to fire everybody and start from ground up, or are there going to be some people that are going to be sticking around?
Oh, well, I mean, can you imagine the ass kissing that's going to go on when he starts coming around? I mean, people that want to keep their jobs, it's going to be like, we saw it with the Cubs. Someone's going to pull Crane Kenny, and prove themselves like, they can't get fired. I think some people probably will use it to, the opportunity to move on. I don't think stocks pay that. It's great. You can keep your job, but I don't think they pay that great. I think it's more just like, the fact that you can stick around forever. And they got a pension. Jerry kept their pension for a lot of people.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was the one cool thing he did. He really fought for the pensions when other owners wanted to get rid of him for non-uniformed employees. And Jerry, at least was like, everything people have said is like, he's a great guy to work for. It just, as long as you don't want, your business to actually succeed. As long as you want to have your job. And you don't
that one
care,
little sticking point. You don't want to get into that.
Don't be too good.
Right,
Don't be too good.
It's great to have a job. It's just that you're like, your job's miserable when it comes to like the wins and losses. If you care about wins and losses.
Yeah,
like, if you're just like, oh, my job's selling tickets, I don't even know what this team does. That's
great.
fine. Like, what do these guys do? But no, I don't know. I think everyone's like, oh, he won't sell, never sell. But like, he is 89. Like, this does end eventually. So it'd be, it's smart. 1.8 is pretty good valuation. It's not, people thought 2.5 is probably what, maybe they could get it for, maybe what it'll end up going for. But if I'm one of these, and I know people that are selling because they're, like, they're 76, what am I waiting for? This is the time to sell. It's good money. And, good for these
Team
people
sucks.
for getting out.
Yeah,
Team sucks.
right.
I mean, everything's bad. Yeah, like, what would you want to watch for? Like, I know someone who's like, yeah, we still have a year's of season tickets. And he's like, we know. I was like, it's not like it's going to be hard to get them.
You can,
Like, you don't need to keep.
you can buy
You
a
get the tickets probably next
ballpark
year.
pass for $125. Go to opening day and 27 other games. I mean, it's like, come on.
I wonder if you can just keep using it after that's over. Like, can you keep just
No one will
showing up with
notice.
your ballpark pass?
They'll just keep
Right.
sending you tickets.
I mean,
Right in July, just keep coming in.
if we can assume that the ticket scanning works as well as the metal detectors, yes, just keep going. One ticket all year.
Scroll through, baby.
Wow, just getting them all through it, getting them all in there.
Right.
Second
Get
time.
get a kind of a thick woman, put it in her bra or her ballpark pass. I'll never touch it.
I did. AJ was on 670 after you were on 670. He was in the afternoon, and he was like, I love this because it's going to be what the Cubs should be. This guy will come in and spend the money and buy the superstars and do all this stuff. And I kind of paused a little bit because I was like, I want to believe that. Like, should I believe that he's going to really spend money like it's just ridiculous, like Cohen money, or is it not really?
I don't think it's gonna be Cohen money, but because remember Cohen still has like a decent cable deal. You know what I mean? Like all these teams that spend a lot of money usually do have good cable deals. And they don't yet. So, but listen, it's not going to take a lot to be above.
Oh
Jerry.
no, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, he spent more in his house than the White Sox ever have on a free agent contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's pretty rare. $80 million house, and he's got the Andrew Benintendi of house. You either have this house or Andrew Benintendi.
For 5 years.
Right?
I mean, the way it's been, I might want to have that guy's house.
I'd rather have the house. House on Lake Michigan than Andrew Benintendi in my lineup.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man.
John, thank you for coming on and talking us through this. And you know what? You gave me a lot more hope than I thought was going to be the case. I was ready for you to throw some cold water on the whole situation just because it's so far out. But I really appreciate all the information you gave us. And it's always great talking with you. Yeah. And hopefully get to talk to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We'll talk again maybe around the season starting.
Yeah, hopefully not during an epic losing streak. We don't need.
Are you guys going to go to the Bone? Are you going to Bone Thugs at Ramova after the home opener?
We're performing the night before at Ramova. We're doing an opening day Eve show the night before, so probably. And we drink a lot at the game, so probably not. We probably won't make it to Bone Thugs.
When I first saw it, I thought we were getting the same show as Bone Thugs. I was like,
Bone Thugs. Oh, yeah. We should close for Bone Thugs. I think.
Bone Thugs. They should play Crossroads instead of the national anthem before the game.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would love it. Let's do it.
I'm in. Yeah. If you want to come to opening night, come through.
I know I'm still going to be in Arizona. I'm taking my kids to spring break. That's their spring break that last week.
Nice.
Every year.
Beautiful.
So we're coming back on I think Friday or Saturday. So I'm going to go to the Cubs domestic opener in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
And I think we come back the next day. So I'll be at Sox probably Saturday or Sunday. So I'll swing by then.
Sweet. Yeah, come through.
Can't wait to see you. John, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
John.
Thank you, John.
Anytime, guys.
Always good to talk to John.
Jon
Greenberg.
I love talking to John.
Great stuff.